Hi, so it's new moon, or just about. It's coming in 7:26 p.m. Pacific, 10:26 p.m. Eastern, and that is going to make it 3:36 a.m. on Thursday in the UK. Wow, new moon in Taurus. More about that on the Astro Truth channel. Check it out, Astro Truth, all one word. There's a picture of a planet. There is someone else called Astro Truth, only one word, but there's only one me. That's Astro Truth, all one word. So check it out for more about that Taurus new moon. So I'm going out for a spin, going out for a drive. Lockdown is still happening. Isn't that wonderful? But as we come up to a new moon, there's starting to be talk about looking towards the end of it now. The British Parliament is back in today, I think. It's sort of doing it partly online and partly by actually going there, and so put some hope in the day, really, like new moons always do. And in terms of hope, I want to talk about a little bit, at least, about what's been going on in terms of predictions. A lot of people are saying, why on earth didn't mediums predict that the coronavirus thing was going to happen? One moment. There we are, it's got the post checked. Time to get moving again. And I didn't know which channel to put this video on, actually. But I think we'll go with Twig Brother. Might as well. Because there's been people going, oh, astrology's no good, you know, you didn't predict coronavirus. And there are people saying, oh, psychics, mediums, rubbish, they didn't predict coronavirus. Well, I've seen predictions of it at several levels, so I must admit I had no idea it was going to be the way it's turned out. But if you look at the astrology side of it, in videos I was making around Christmas of December 2019, just about 4 or 5 months ago, and videos other people were making at that time, there was talk about astrology lining up in a way that it hadn't lined up since the early part of the 20th century, kind of around the time of the flu virus pandemic. And anyone who did any research at that time was saying it's going to be kind of something maybe cataclysmic, who knew, but certainly something big was going to happen. And as a measure of that, another one I kept going back to was we entered the First World War began with biplanes. And I know this because I've been in the Royal Air Force. First World War began with biplanes. Second World War actually began with biplanes. But by the end of the Second World War, which was only 6 years after it started, that's long enough, but you know, in terms of history, it's only 6 years, we had jets. And that's still the biggest advance in aviation we've had yet. I've been enjoying watching ice pilots, which I sometimes manage to get over here. And if you've seen that, you'll know. It's all about Buffalo Joe and his team of pilots and engineers. And they fly old propeller aircraft. Some of them from the war years, DC-3, DC-4, C-46. And I think the newest thing he's got there in terms of a big plane is an Electra, Lockheed Electra, which was sort of the beginning of jets in terms of mass transport in the 50s. But it did actually have propellers, just jet-powered propellers. And when I look at that, see the advance and see that actually both kinds of airplane are still flying, I wonder how much of an advance it was, really. But if I'm honest, it was a pretty big advance. I've flown in a Hawk jet, Hawk, a Siddeley Hawk, and wow, you know, they are incredibly fast and incredibly powerful. And that's just a training jet with the RAF. Oh, here comes someone. So there you are, that was a big change. And in some ways it wasn't that much of a change at all. But life is always changing. And so we come to what's going on today, you know. I did say things were going to change big style. a lot of astrologers were saying that it was going to be the end of cash money, and a lot of psychics were saying that too. And I felt I believed that, actually. And then as we got into kind of January, February, it looked less like that. A lot of the top politicians were saying they were very happy using cash, thank you very much, and they didn't want it to change. And if rich people are saying that, that's pretty much the way you'd think it was going to go. But now here we are, and I haven't actually used cash for weeks. Oh, I did use it last week, actually. So I bought some logs from a farmer, and he liked me paid cash. But that's the first time I've gone and taken money out of a cash point, out of an ATM, for weeks on end. And I'm much happier paying for things with a card. Just have my glove on there, my nitrile glove on, and tap in the code. And it just seems much safer in terms of what's going on now. And although it looks like the lockdown is going to be lifting, it's lifted already in some parts of the States. And I think it'll lift a lot more as time goes on. But there's still talk of having to be careful, because there might be a second wave or whatever, maybe even a third wave. And so it's still going to be kind of quite good if we can avoid using cash, really. The thing I don't like about that is a lot of people don't have access to a credit card. I'm pretty lucky to have one myself, actually. Excuse me. So that's not all good news, but it could very well be the end of actual cash money, the way things are going on. So things have changed in a big way, and I predicted that was going to happen, and a lot of other people did. I just didn't predict that it was going to be called coronavirus or COVID-19 or whatever, because that's the nature of these things. You know, you get a lot of warnings and a lot of help, psychically speaking, whether you're kind of going to a psychic for advice yourself, or whether you're a psychic yourself, as I am. And we don't always know what it means, and so sometimes we ignore it completely. And that's life. But you know, that is exactly it. We are put in this life for a reason. Maybe a string of reasons, who knows. I never really got into past life regression. I've done it because I needed to learn how to do it as part of my work. Some people really believe in it. And I believe it's real. But I think if we've got karma coming, it's going to come anyway. And if we kind of cleverly manage to dodge the karma by looking into past lives or whatever we do, we might dodge karma in this life, but we never dodge it forever. Let's just flip the camera around. This is a lovely road. That's more like it. So, yeah, past life regression and that whole thing of karma and having to live the lives we've got. We're very rarely told exactly what's going to happen by psychics, by mediums, by anyone. Another thing I was predicting in astrology, actually, well, it wasn't so much a prediction as a reading of the stars and the planets at the time. Early in February, the planet Juno went retrograde, and it went retrograde in Libra, bringing balance to everything that Juno represents. And Juno is all about serious long-term relationships. And because of the Libra aspect and the retrograde aspect happening at the same time, this meant that balance was going to be coming into long-term relationships, particularly the retrograde side of it. Meant that things would be exposed, you know, wherever there was kind of trickery keeping people together, or things weren't genuine, or things weren't going to last. Then those things were going to be exposed, basically, and it would be up to people to deal with it as best they could. I had no idea that things like that were going to be exposed by people in long-term serious relationships being shut in together all the time for weeks on end, which might yet turn into months on end. But it was there, and you know, I stick by that prediction because I see it happening all the time. I'm very sorry to say that there has been a big increase in domestic violence Here in UK, it's gone up by 25%. I'm not all that surprised, but I am quite bummed out by it because it's a great shame. And I don't know, it depends how you look at it. I spoke to someone who actually drove out here from another part of UK 3 days into the lockdown because his girlfriend had thrown him out. And it was easy enough for him to just kind of move and be somewhere else. And to be fair to him, he hasn't left the house once in all that time, so I'm not going to blame him for breaking the lockdown. But, easy enough for him, because when his relationship started getting really difficult, he could move somewhere else. And for most people, that isn't a reality. So, to my way of thinking, when I look at the big picture, domestic violence to me seems to have gone through the roof. 25% increase is massive. But he said, it's not really gone through the roof, it's only 25%. So there you go again, it's all how you look at it. And how do you look at psychic messages? How do you look at anything to do with predictions? That is the question. If you really think that all the psychics, all the mediums should have told you that coronavirus was coming, then I think nearly all of you would have been disappointed. But there were so many hints about things changing. There's two that I missed completely in terms of how serious it was going to be. There's not many cars about, but I like to have a good look first, just in case. One was just that, in all the readings I was doing around the beginning of this year, in terms of things being predicted that were going to happen and change people's lives, there didn't seem to be much coming up before about June. And I just thought, ho hum, there you go. As it's turned out, there hasn't been the opportunity for a really big, excuse me, for really big changes in relationships and in work life and even in money life, because things just the music stopped, like in musical chairs, the music stops and that's kind of your lot. And that's the way it went. And nothing much is going to be changing till about June. They're talking about most of the lockdown being either eased up or rationalised, made more sense of in some way. Oh, and I've got a cough, excuse me. Beautiful country roads we're on here. Wow. Look at all these trees. They don't care about it all. They're fine. They live longer than us anyway. So that was that. Just the fact that nothing seemed to be going to move in a big way until June. And one that happened to me just before Christmas. I was out buying some seeds to plant in my garden at the beginning of the year. And I only really got carrots, and I got some tobacco seeds as well. And when I was shopping, when I was in the big seed shop, this voice in my head was telling me, get all your seeds now for the whole year. And I thought, no, I've got months really. In like leeks, they don't really grow in my little part of the world until June. So I didn't bother buying leek seeds. And now, leek seeds have gone up fantastically in price. I paid 5 GBP, which I think is probably about $4 for US dollars at the moment. I paid that for 25 leek seeds. You used to be able to get 1,000 for that. And just everything is so much more expensive, and you've got to order it from eBay, and it may or may not arrive. You just don't know. I just don't know. So I wish I'd listened and bought all my seeds in December, which I could easily have done. But I thought, no, that'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Plenty of time. Whoa, this is a big one. Let's pull over. She is going back for me. So there you go, the writing has been on the wall all this time, and I'm sure if I look back into messages I was giving out like a year or two ago, there would have been some kind of hint of this coming up. I just didn't know what it meant. So often we don't. So friends, two things I really want to say about that is when you get any kind of psychic message, whether you're getting it from a psychic, a medium, or it's actually coming to you yourself in your dreams, and you can be your own psychic, you definitely can, we've all got it in us. Pay attention to the whole thing, to absolutely everything that comes up, because it all means something, even if we think it doesn't. And next time someone tells me to buy seeds, I'll certainly do it, you know, in my psychic senses, that is. But I could easily miss some other things going on. You just never know. You just never know. But pay attention to everything. And also, you know, please don't blame psychics. I have seen some videos on YouTube and some posts elsewhere saying, oh, you know, I knew psychics would never be any good. They didn't predict this. Well, it all depends how you listen. And this also shows me how closely astrology and the psychic realms are tied together. It all kind of plays into each other, you know, anything like that. Even when I was talking about past life regression, I learned that as part of my training as a medium. No two ways, it does all work together. I've separated it out into two channels because that was what YouTube seemed to want me to do. It hasn't helped. Now I've got two channels kind of dying on their feet. And so maybe I should have kind of listened to my heart last year when I was thinking, you know, this isn't the way to go. Just not reaching people through YouTube the way I was. And now everyone's at home and YouTube's getting much more views. My channel isn't. And I don't really care, you know, it's not important to me as long as the right people see it, and I'm sure the right people are seeing it. If you're watching this, you know, it's meant for you. That's the way it goes. If it's not meant for other people, that's kind of their tough portion. And there you have it. Thanks very much for watching. My phone is full, so I'm cutting it off there. Thumbs up, please, if you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll see you again very soon. Peace.